Welcome to the Newark Debater. My name is Aziz Richardson.
And my name is Kennedy Lowe. Glad to be here.
We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to see what we have planned for you to learn today. Last episode was all about debating in the real world and how to take the polarizing topics we may argue about one line and turn them into fruitful discussion to hash out arguments in a fair and equitable way.
If you want to watch our last episode or any other episode we've recorded and released, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/thenewarkdebater. Remember to share all of our videos if you think you know anyone who can appreciate the information.
Today's episode is all about how you can effectively craft and use your narrative for good reason.
If you want to watch our last episode or any other episode we've recorded and released, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/thenewarkdebater. Remember to share all of our videos if you think you know anyone who can appreciate the information.
Well, today's episode is all about how you can effectively craft and use your narrative for a good reason. In debate, a narrative is a story used to create a direct connection between the debater and the topic. In the last few years, narratives have skyrocketed, and we've seen much more people become more open to bringing their own realities into the debate space.
As a young activist, it's important that with any issues that you're passionate about, that you learn how to present your story as effectively and eloquently without providing too much information or too little.
If you want to learn how to use your voice more by taking control of your narrative and personal skills, well, this episode is for you.
Hello, and welcome to What's Hot on the Block. My name is Taylor Brumont, and I will be your news anchor for today. Our first order of business is the following. Congratulations to our very own Devon Murphy for being officially appointed as our new assistant director. We are so excited to have you on board. Next, we have Help Wanted. The Newark Debate Academy is putting out an open call to any and all Newark Debate students or any students remotely interested in either getting involved in our show or debate itself. Email us for topics, guides, and schedules. If you are an opinionated student, this activity is perfect for you. And the Newark Debate is also specifically looking for a cameraman to help us record these shows. Next, we have a huge congratulations to Simone Braithwaite of Newark Science for winning Briarroom Hills Tournament in Armonk, New York, the first tournament of the season. What a way to start off. Finally, the Newark Debate would like to officially welcome our new co-host and team member, Kennedy, a junior at Science Park High School, and our new student director assistant, Temitope. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to our show.
So, Mr. Glenn, when did you first understand the power of telling your story?
I was really thrust into the spotlight. Like, it wasn't something I actually looked for. I was shied away from the spotlight. But from working with youth since I was a kid, I knew I can relate better with them by being honest with them about my lifestyle and where I came from, especially growing up here in Newark, New Jersey, and telling these youth that I'm from some of the places that they're afraid to go through. Living in most of the public housing, the most dangerous areas, that instead of being someone from the outside looking in, talking to them, it was someone that I said, I'm here with you. I'm going through the same things you're going through. I probably went through worse than you. So it helps them relate to me better. So it was really since I was a kid.
So how do you know when you're sharing too much or you're talking about too many negative moments in your life?
I don't think of it as talking about negative moments. And I don't usually think I'm sharing too much, because usually if I'm responding to a question, like for this situation, it's never really too much unless I'm on a time limit. Let's say I only have 2 minutes to get in what I need to say. But outside of that, I'm talking about topics like my life story, or I'm talking about gang prevention or things of that nature. I never really had a time when I'm sharing too much.
Who are some of your favorite speakers, and how have they influenced you to tell your story?
I think before they were as big as they are now, I was following an older guy by the name of Les Brown. And I didn't really think about it until I really looked at some of his videos next from the past, like, oh, I was following his stuff when I was younger. And then there's another guy by the name of Dr. Umar Johnson, where I check out some of their videos and I'll watch and I'll see certain things. But even just look at the techniques that they use when they're speaking, whether it's workshops or them just doing their thing at big arenas. I'm like, okay, I aspire to do some of the things they're doing or be in these type of situations that they're in.
So when telling your story, how does that make you feel?
It feels good to share. Like, it feels good to know my life or my experience or things that I've learned over the years can help someone else. When we may think our stories are maybe small to us, like whatever's going on in your world may affect somebody else. Like, if you tell them, hey, I came to this school from elsewhere, and I think I'm better here than I was there, and if people want to know about how was it there, you're like, oh wow, I never would have thought of that. Just that little bit of tip, you're like, well, this is minor to me. I wouldn't even think about that, but to someone else, it's something big. When we look at small to us, to people that are not in our world or don't live in our city, or even have those type of experiences, they would never think about, oh, I would never think of doing that. I never think about, this school is so hard to get into, and you in there and you're doing great. I'm like, it's nothing. I do this every day. So it's just really, you just never know. Because even when I talk to older people, I'll tell them, like, your story still isn't over. Your story's still going. So no matter if I have a room with young kids and older and their grandparents, I'm like, your story isn't over yet. So you're going to keep on going, and you're going to keep writing your story.
So, Mr. Glenn, we heard that you have your own company, Eli Speaks LLC. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about it and why you decided to join it in the first place?
Well, it started out as Eli Speaks more than 12 years ago. I kind of took on a moniker because it was always, of course, Elijah Glenn. And then certain people, like, they call me Eli. Like, okay, I need to have more of a stage name or that moniker. So I'm like, okay, Eli Speaks, because I'm speaking and I'm going out and I'm doing workshops and I'm doing events. So it became Eli Speaks. And I did it, and I was doing these different things, not for the fame, not for attention. I was doing out of the love, from doing back-to-school events where I'm getting hundreds of boys free haircuts and book bags full of school supplies, or doing, people call me if they need help with different things, like, hey, can you be a part of this event? Can you help me with this? I'm like, okay. And it took one of my friends from Boston that said, you're doing a lot of great things. You really need to start recording it and like put it on YouTube and things of this nature. I'm like, well, I'm not really doing it for that. I'm not doing it for the fame. I'm doing it because I love to do this. I love working with youth. I love working with my community. They said, but you can help more people by, if you start recording, and more people want you to come help them in their areas and their cities. So I molded over for a while. I'm like, okay, he has a point. Let me start. And I started maybe taking pictures here and there, little videos here and there, and over the past maybe 3 years or so, taking it a little more seriously. And then this summer, I'm like, you know what? I want to take it to another level. And I made it Eli Speaks LLC. And it's been going well. Like, literally from the end of last year going into the summer, a lot of great things have been coming my way.
So that adds to the next question I'm going to ask you. Are there any current projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm actually working with a tour with a nonprofit organization. We're supposed to go and speak to some of the local football teams, to the boys in the football teams in Newark, East Orange, Irvington, Hillside. I'm actually in talks with doing some mentoring programs with some of the Newark schools here, some of the local elementary schools and the high schools with just the boys. Working on a tour myself, which I'm planning to do within the next year, more of a bigger event. And then I'm going to actually, in the nearer or closer future, have more of like a website release party, more of my marketing materials, whether it's the t-shirts. I love graphic t-shirts. And people love t-shirts like I have one now, but I want more of the graphic t-shirts, and they're not just saying Eli Speaks, more of different things that I'm saying. And the brand that I'm pushing is motivated, not manipulated. So that's what a lot of my hashtags, when it comes from my Eli Speaks page, it has that on there. So yeah, that's basically what I'm working on right now.
So in starting your own business and doing the things that you do, what are some of the obstacles that you run into?
It's really been more of internal obstacles. It's been maybe even changing my look. Because say if I go to an event, say like this, like with one of my shirts, or maybe some khakis or some jeans, or if I'm having to dress regularly, some people may take it less serious. But if I go to an event and I'm having on a suit, and I have the same message, I'm saying the same things, but walking in with a suit on may command more respect than me coming in dressed down. So it was that. And then the fact of, one of my biggest things is I do everything myself. So being willing to reach out and accept help. Because I'm so used to, hey, if I don't do it, it won't get done. And that's when in different aspects of my life, I've got to do this, I got to do that. To slow down and say, you know what, I can trust Ms. Kennedy to do this aspect for me, and I can focus on something else. Or I can trust Mr. Aziz to do this for me, and I can focus on something else. So it's really asking for that help and accepting it has been more of a obstacle for me. Yes, of course, with anyone is getting the word out, the marketing, the promo about what I'm doing. That's with any business or whatever you're doing, you want to get the word out of what you're doing. But it's more of developing and building a strong team, whether it's with interns or people I get to the point where I'm hiring others, where I can just focus on maybe just the event aspect. Maybe it's just hosting the event, whether it's just speaking or doing workshops. That's been helping me a lot, and that's what I've been focusing on this summer, is developing and building a team mainly of interns that can help me with their different specialties, so I can focus on, let's just say, bringing most of the income in.
So aside from the obstacles, Mr. Glenn, what has been your most rewarding or life-changing experience so far?
Now that's a tough one. I mean, all of them in their different aspects have been rewarding to me. So I can't say one has been the most rewarding. I think one of the biggest was within the past year, was it last summer? At the beginning of summer, I can't remember. There's been so many events. But I was asked to speak at a big event in East Orange. And it was like, it was more of a nonviolence. It was called Love, Not Hate. It was about some young men were killed in East Orange, and their family members put together a big march, and political people were involved, and police, and all these hundreds of people when they came to this one event. And I was asked to speak, and it was great. It was a powerful moment for me, and that was big for me. It was different to say, okay, I'm on the stage and I'm just talking to 100 or more strangers about just simply the stuff I know about my life and how we can help each other. So that was one of the biggest things. Constantly coming here every year for the past 4 years, speaking to the incoming 7th graders and 9th graders is always great for me. I do love it. It really establishes our relationship from the beginning, so it's easy for me to talk to them throughout the year. And then the stuff I'm working on now. So I can't really say what's been the best, because it's all rewarding, and I learn from every experience. I'm one of my biggest critics. If I look at the videos and stuff that I've done, I'm like, okay, I need to do this, or I need to change that. Even with having a radio show. I started doing a radio show recently. I forgot about that. But just, okay, I want to change this. I want to do this differently. So
what are some of your short-term goals, and what are some of your long-term goals?
Short-term is planning a soft grand opening event for my website and my line, and the different things that I'll have with that. A little bit further would be more of a fundraising event where I'm going to have a lot of kids or young men that I've mentored over the years come be a part of it and different things. And then the overall, a little longer goal, maybe about a year or so from now, is having a big event when I'm having other speakers be a part of it as well. And primarily geared more for young men and fathers, or boys and fathers, just more for our male population that kind of get underserved or are underserved, because we love our females, and there's a lot of programs and things for them, but there's not a lot of programs or so for our boys and our men. So I've been in talks for the past 2 years with different speakers, different the vision that I have for it, and with bigger organizations to see about the funding and can they help with that aspect. And then after that, it's just more the book. I'm going to work on a memoir. People have been telling me for years I need to do a memoir, so that's, once I do these other things, I'm taking them step by step, I want to start working on the book.
Who has been your biggest influence in this process?
My grandmother. My grandmother, she's the matriarch of our family. She's the one that got it in our blood with working with community and working with youth, because she was doing it since I was a kid and she still does. She's like the unofficial mother to grandmother to all people that she has come in contact with. So that really has been in my blood ever since. So she's been the main inspiration. And then there's also my son who, with making Eli Speaks LLC, was more the fact of developing a legacy. Was not just something I'm just having a company. This is not just for me. This is for my family. This is for something I can pass down to him, and he can run some different things, or just take over the company as a whole and be able to put my family in, and just have some generational wealth, which is not necessarily like for me right now, for him, for his children, that they can come into not struggling as much as I have or he might have.
So, if you could recommend any book for our viewers to read, what would it be and why?
Oh man, I read so many books. I know some great authors who I was just talking about. I was talking about one recently. I was actually talking to one of them who was really big. He's originally from Camden, but spent most of the years here. His name is my good brother, and we're a part of Leadership Newark class of 2011. Darnell Moore, he's like one of the bestsellers right now. And his book is here with his book today. That is required reading for one of the classes at Rutgers, Newark. And he's been traveling all around the world, in the country, doing these things. So he's a great author. I haven't got a chance to get the book yet, but I told him when I see him, try to get a book. There were some other ones, I can't think of the names. I read so many books over the years. And they're different topics, whether it's just street stuff or whether it's more stuff educationally, and I can't think of the names and the authors. And I just talked about this like 2 days ago. One of the authors, I was recommending it to some of the youth. I can't think of his name now, but we'll have to get back on that another time.
Yeah. And finally, Mr. Glenn, if you could leave us with any personal quote, any inspirational quote, what would it be? Like something that you would potentially like to be remembered by?
It's a pledge that I have everybody do when I get done with speaking, and I usually just have them repeat the pledge. And it's usually, if you want to change the world, you must first change yourself. I choose to be motivated, not manipulated. That's really it.
So viewers, remember, motivated, not manipulated. Thank you so much for being here today. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And I hope our viewers got something extremely motivational, not manipulative, out of this. But unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you for sharing your story and your expertise.